I'm Donna Cosner, and I'm one of the founders of Paws Giving Independence, and we're a local nonprofit here in Peoria. We train service dogs for kids and adults with a variety of disabilities, and we've been around since 2008. We start out, we're registered with the Agriculture Department as a records-only shelter. So we certify all of our foster homes, and all of our dogs live in a foster home from anywhere from 18 months to 2 years for training. Once we have an approved foster home, then our trainers go out to, we work with different rescue groups, transport groups. Some of our dogs have come as far as Kentucky and Missouri to come to us. And the rescue groups will call and say that they have a set of puppies, or we like to take dogs in that are about a year, because it's easier to tell size and temperament at that point. They live in the foster home for 18 months to 2 years. Those trainers come and train with us every week over at the Heartland Dog Training Facility. And in order to get a dog from us, people apply, and then they also come to those training classes to get those 25 hours in. It's not a difficult process, but you need to learn the commands and be able to keep those dogs on task and know that we have the right match between handler and recipient. And so sometimes the first dog's not a match, and so then we go on and try another dog with them.
Our program is accredited under Assistance Dogs International, so it's a big accrediting organization that gives us guidelines that we have to adhere by, and we have to provide our own kind of bylaws and company documents to show that we're upholding those standards, so that the dogs that are in public have all met the minimum criteria to be working as service dogs. Our program does place our dogs for free of charge to those in need, but we do have an application process. So they have to apply for a dog and go through training, and we also ask that they supply a medical form as well, showing that they have a disability and the dog can perform tasks to assist them with that disability.
We train the individuals on how to train the dog. So from there you fill out an application, and then the dogs come in. And we take them anywhere from puppy stages to like 6 months old, just kind of whenever. And they take about 1.5 years, 2 years into the program. And it's all the basics. So the puppies, it's your normal puppy to teach them to like sit, stay, all that kind of stuff, lots of treats. But then they progress to picking up your keys, picking up your phone, going to the fridge and getting a water bottle, and helping out their handler as much as possible. So we train them to help us, and then on the daily we'll drop like hairbrushes, our phone stuff to help us. One of the dogs I train will carry my backpack to my different classes, and then we train them to go with different handlers and different just people, so they don't get too attached. And then once we find the recipient, they bond with them, and then we go customize training to the individual.
Now it's time for our Friday Follies segment. We've got some hot cultural topics, starting with the growing problems posed by people pretending that their pets are service animals.
Under ADA law, to be a service dog, you have to have a documented disability, and the dog has to perform a minimum of 3 tasks related to that disability. Most of what we do is wheelchair mobility, so pulling that wheelchair, helping pull open doors, retrieving items for him, getting the cell phone are all skills. A psychiatric service dog is for someone that might have PTSD or anxiety, and the dogs are trained to do deep pressure to help mitigate a meltdown before it happens. And an emotional support dog is kind of become more common, people wanting to have their household pets be their emotional support dog, and all that means is I feel better having my dog around me. Those dogs don't have any skills, so they're not covered under ADA law, although some landlords allow them with the documentation of a doctor. A lot of airlines are allowing them, which they're seeing is becoming a problem because they have emotional support peacocks that have been on airplanes and things. And it's a way that people can take the dogs where they want. I have a friend who's a flight attendant, and I have great stories from her of what's been brought on the plane.
Valley the pig was treated like a celebrity.
Frontier Airlines says cops were called because the woman refused to get off the plane after being told squirrels were not allowed, even as emotional support animals. All the other passengers had to get off too.
So the problem with it is not all disabilities are visible. If you see somebody in a wheelchair there with the dog, you're going to assume that's probably a legitimate service dog. But we have people we train for that might have a heart condition where they faint, and the dog is trained to revive them or get help. Somebody who has narcolepsy, the dog is training them to wake up, or somebody with diabetes, and you can't see that just looking at someone. So the fake service dog industry is making it difficult for those people because our medical records are private. So I shouldn't have to tell you why I have the service dog. And people are coming up to them and questioning, well, you don't look like you have a service dog. So why do you have it? And then trying to get them to share medical information. So right now, the state of Illinois, there's a couple representatives that are trying to do two things to firm up that it'll be a bigger fine for people pretending to have a fake service dog, kind of like using a handicap placard when you don't need it in a parking lot. And also for organizations that are saying they're placing service dogs and they're charging big amounts of money and the dogs aren't trained. So right now they're doing kind of a dual legislation to try to address those issues, and some states have already passed those.
Our confessor, Genevieve, admits she had no need for emotional support. She simply wanted to fly with Callie by her side, not in a carrier or in cargo, which would have cost a fee. So she found a way to do it for only a few white lies and a red doggy vest. She found a website that, for a fee, provided a psychological questionnaire.
It was a website where I was able to answer questions about possible emotional symptoms that I had, and if I answered them in a certain way, I could get a diagnosis.
What was your diagnosis?
It was panic attack disorder.
You seem like a very level-headed, calm person, not someone who would get panic attacks.
Yes, I lied.
She lied, and the website made it easy.
So it does get hard. We do have some of them on campus. So, when we're bringing our in-training service dogs to class, and there might be another dog or puppy in the same class who's not as well trained, they can go back and forth, and it really does set our dogs back sometimes. And it gives actual service dogs kind of a bad rap because you don't know, how can you tell the difference? Like, they're both in vests, but some restaurants and places have such good experiences with them and some don't. So when you do have that task of getting into the door and the business owner is, no, you can't come in, it starts a process of just a lot of setbacks have occurred because of that. So then it comes really down to educating the public and educating your friends, so then your friends can go on and help them.
For the people who do have the disability and they need that, they may come across extra obstacles or extra hoops that they have to go through in order to get their dog that they would normally be allowed. So it's, this person got this dog to help them, and now all of a sudden they're having all of these issues with these dogs who aren't allowed, giving them, other people questioning them, like, is this, do you really need it or not? And then you have the emotional support animals, if they're in public illegally, misbehaving and kind of saying this is not how all dogs behave, this is not a trained dog, this is not how they should be and acting. Our dogs are trained, they're taught how to be. It just puts a bad image for people who don't know the difference.
Something called the Air Carrier Access Act, which states that no carrier may discriminate against individuals demonstrating a physical or mental impairment to board with animals. As a result, a popular new class of pets has emerged. They're called the emotional support animal. Don't let the vest fool you. This is not an emotional support animal on official business, but CBS News staffer Swainson Gill's family pet, Pharaoh. And they're both volunteers to demonstrate how easily pets can travel for free under the Airline Carrier Access Act.
So I think a lot has to do with not having to pay, a way to bring your pet along, and it's really gotten out of hand.
The problem with emotional support dogs, like I said, not every dog is happy in that situation, and people don't realize that there are liability issues. If that dog bites somebody, the dog could possibly be euthanized by animal control because they have bit somebody. And when we're out in training, there's not a time I'm out that someone doesn't come out. Maybe some kid comes up and hugs the dog because they love dogs and want to pet them. People want to interact with them, and you have to have a dog that's okay with that happening, because you can't always be alert all the time with what's happening. We've had our dogs attacked by the fake service dogs, bitten. There was even Peoria Airport recently had that happen between two dogs waiting in line that had attacked each other and had gotten injured. So it's really, and if you've got somebody who has anxiety, PTSD, and they're being interacted with a dog that's not trained, it's also a problem for them. So Illinois is currently trying to change legislation to make it a higher fine for doing that, for pretending your dog is a service dog when it isn't, pretending to have a disability, because technically it really is fraud, the same it would be if you were trying to use a handicap placard and you didn't need that parking space. So they're working to fine-tune the law on that. And some states have already really upped the amount of a fine if you're caught doing that.